I was recently staying at a hotel during a speaking tour, and I had an interesting experience. My room was on the fifth floor, and every morning around 6 o'clock, I would hear footsteps in the hallway, the sound of the elevator, doors opening and closing. One morning, my curiosity got the better of me, and I opened my door to see what was happening. What I saw was fascinating. There were two types of people in that hallway. The first type were clearly going to the gym, dressed in workout clothes, water bottles in hand, energized and purposeful. They greeted me with bright eyes and smiled as they headed toward the elevator. The second type were disheveled, rushing frantically, clearly late for something, stressed expressions on their faces, juggling phones and bags, barely noticing anyone around them. And I thought to myself, these two groups of people are starting their day in completely different ways, and I would be willing to bet that this pattern, repeated every day, is creating two completely different lives. One group was intentional about their morning, creating a foundation for success before the chaos of the day began. The other group was reactive from the moment they woke up, already behind, already stressed, already playing catch-up. And in that moment, I realized something profound. How you spend your morning doesn't just determine your day, it determines your life. Because your days become your weeks become your months become your years, and your years become your life. If you want to understand why some people win while others stay average, don't look at their goals or their intentions, look at their morning habits. Today, I want to share with you 5 specific morning habits that, if you implement them consistently, will fundamentally change the trajectory of your life. Not overnight, not magically, but gradually and certainly. These 5 habits are the difference between people who consistently achieve their goals and people who constantly struggle. The difference between people who feel energized and purposeful and people who feel drained and directionless. The difference between winning and staying average. And the beautiful thing about these habits is that they're completely within your control. You don't need special resources, extraordinary talent, or perfect circumstances. You just need to decide that your morning matters and commit to structuring it intentionally. Let me start by telling you a story that illustrates why mornings are so critical. There was once a potter who created beautiful vessels. People would come from far and wide to buy his pottery because each piece was exceptional. One day, a young apprentice asked him, "Master, what's the secret to creating such beautiful pottery?" The potter smiled and said, "Come to my workshop at dawn tomorrow, and I'll show you." The apprentice arrived the next morning to find the potter already at work, carefully preparing his clay, removing impurities, ensuring the consistency was perfect. "This is the secret," the potter said. "If the clay is prepared properly in the morning, before I begin shaping, the vessel will turn out beautifully. But if I rush this preparation, if I start shaping before the clay is ready, no amount of skill later in the process can fix the flaws. The morning preparation determines the quality of the final product." Your morning is your clay preparation. How you start shapes everything that follows. If you begin your day reactively, checking your phone immediately, scrolling through social media, responding to other people's agendas before clarifying your own, allowing external chaos to dictate your internal state, you're trying to create something beautiful with unprepared clay. But if you begin your day intentionally, with habits that center you, energize you, focus you, and prepare you, you're setting the foundation for excellence in everything that follows. So let me share with you the 5 morning habits that separate winners from those who stay average. These aren't arbitrary. These aren't based on what's trendy or popular. These are based on what actually works, on patterns I've observed in successful people across different fields, cultures, and contexts. These 5 habits, done consistently, create compound effects that over time produce extraordinary results. The first habit is this: wake up before your responsibilities wake you up. Let me explain what I mean. Most people wake up to an alarm with barely enough time to rush through their morning routine before they have to be at work, or deal with family obligations, or handle the demands of the day. They go from sleep to stress in minutes. There's no buffer, no transition, no time to prepare themselves mentally and emotionally for the day ahead. They're reactive from the moment they wake up, and that reactive mode continues throughout the day. Winners do something different. They wake up early enough that there's spacious time before their responsibilities begin. Not just 15 minutes, but ideally an hour or even 2 hours of time that belongs to them, that they can use intentionally before the demands of the day start. This isn't about torturing yourself by waking up at an unreasonable hour. This is about going to bed early enough that you can wake up early and still get adequate sleep, and then using those quiet morning hours for yourself. There's something almost sacred about the early morning hours. The world is quieter. There are fewer distractions. Your mind is fresh, not yet cluttered with the day's concerns. Your willpower is strongest because you haven't depleted it yet through decision-making and stress. These morning hours, before your responsibilities wake you up, are the most valuable hours of your day for working on yourself, for doing the things that matter most, for creating rather than just responding. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a morning person. I can't wake up early. Let me tell you something. Being a morning person isn't a fixed trait. It's a habit. Yes, some people have natural circadian rhythms that make early waking easier, but almost anyone can become an effective morning person if they're willing to adjust their evening habits. The issue isn't usually the morning, it's the night before. If you're staying up until midnight scrolling through your phone, of course you can't wake up at 6 feeling refreshed. But if you have a consistent bedtime routine, go to bed by 10, avoid screens before sleep, you can wake up early with energy. Start small. If you currently wake up at 8, don't suddenly try to wake up at 5. Wake up at 7:30 for a week, then 7, then 6:30. Gradually train your body. And protect this time for yourself. Why? This is your time, not for checking email, not for social media, not for immediately diving into work or family demands. This is for the habits that follow, for preparing yourself to win the day. The second habit is this: move your body before you engage your day. Exercise, physical movement, is the single most powerful way to set yourself up for success. Yet it's the habit most people skip. They tell themselves they don't have time, they'll exercise later. They need to prioritize other things. And then later never comes. Because by the time later arrives, they're too tired, too busy, too stressed, or motivation has evaporated. Winners move their body first thing in the morning, not because they necessarily love exercise at dawn, but because they understand something crucial. Physical movement affects everything else. When you exercise in the morning, you're releasing endorphins that improve your mood. You're increasing blood flow to your brain, which enhances cognitive function. You're reducing cortisol, the stress hormone. You're proving to yourself that you're someone who follows through on commitments. You're energizing your body for the day ahead. You're starting with a win, and that momentum carries forward. This doesn't mean you need to do an intense 2-hour workout every morning. It means 30 minutes of intentional movement. This could be a run, a gym session, yoga, swimming, a vigorous walk, a home workout routine, cycling, whatever works for you. The specific form matters less than the consistency and the fact that you're moving with intention. Let me tell you about a man I know who transformed his life through this one habit. He was overweight, constantly, tired, unmotivated at work, feeling stuck in every area of life. He decided to commit to one thing: walking for 30 minutes every morning before work. Just walking, that's all. The first week was hard. His body resisted. His mind gave him every excuse. But he kept going. After a month, he noticed he had more energy during the day. After 3 months, he had lost weight and felt stronger. After 6 months, this morning walk had become his favorite part of the day. A time to think, to listen to audiobooks, to prepare mentally for his day. And something interesting happened. This one habit created a ripple effect. Because he was exercising, he started making better food choices because he didn't want to undermine his efforts. Because he had more energy, he became more productive at work. Because he felt better about himself, his relationships improved. One morning habit changed everything. Your body and mind are not separate. They're deeply interconnected. When you neglect your body, your mind suffers. When you take care of your body, your mind thrives. Moving your body in the morning is not optional if you want to win. It's essential. Make this non-negotiable. Schedule it. Protect it. Do it even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that's when it matters most. The third habit is this. Feed your mind before you feed your face. What's the first thing most people do when they wake up? They reach for their phone. They scroll through social media, check the news, read emails, expose their mind to other people's agendas, other people's problems, and often negative or anxiety-inducing content. They fill their mind with junk before they've fed it anything nourishing. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, scattered, or unmotivated. Winners are very protective of what enters their mind, especially first thing in the morning. They understand that what you feed your mind in the morning sets the tone for your thinking throughout the day. If you feed it negativity, drama, and other people's agendas, that's what will color your day. But if you feed it inspiration, wisdom, and positivity, that's what will influence your thoughts and decisions. So instead of reaching for your phone first thing, reach for something that nourishes your mind. This could be reading even just 10 or 15 pages of a book that inspires you, teaches you something, or expands your thinking. This could be listening to a podcast or audiobook that's educational or motivational. This could be writing in a journal, getting your thoughts out of your head and onto paper, clarifying your thinking, processing your emotions. This could be meditation or prayer, depending on your spiritual inclination, spending time in quiet reflection, or connection with something larger than yourself. The specific practice matters less than the principle. Put something good into your mind before you allow the chaos of the world to enter. Protect your mind in the morning. Guard what gets access to your consciousness during those critical early hours. Because your thoughts create your feelings influence your actions, and your actions determine your results. I've observed that people who read every morning are fundamentally different from people who scroll social media every morning. The readers are more thoughtful, more articulate, more knowledge, able, more centered. The scrollers are more reactive, more anxious, more influenced by external validation, more scattered. Both groups are forming habits and absorbing information, but the quality of what they're absorbing is completely different, and over time, this creates completely different lives. Start treating your mind like you treat your body. You wouldn't eat junk food for breakfast every day and expect to be healthy. Don't feed your mind junk content first thing in the morning and expect to think clearly and feel good. Feed it something nourishing. Make this a sacred practice. 10 minutes of reading something worthwhile is infinitely more valuable than 30 minutes of scrolling through content you'll forget in 5 minutes. The fourth habit is this. Clarify your intention before you engage in action. Most people start their day in reactive mode. They wake up, check their email, see what urgent things need attention, and immediately start responding to demands. They let other people's priorities become their priorities. They let the urgent crowd out the important. They spend their entire day busy but not necessarily productive, active but not necessarily effective, working hard but not necessarily on what matters most. Winners do something different. Before they engage with the demands of the day, they take time to clarify their intention. They ask themselves, what's the most important thing I could accomplish today? What would make today successful? What are my priorities? What's essential versus what's just urgent? They get clear on their direction before they start moving. They're proactive, not reactive. This takes only 5 to 10 minutes but makes an enormous difference. You can do this through various methods. You could write down your top 3 priorities for the day. You could visualize yourself accomplishing your most important task. You could plan your day in blocks of time, assigning specific activities to specific hours. You could ask yourself powerful questions like, if I could only accomplish one thing today, what would have the highest impact? Or what am I avoiding that I should be doing? The point is to get clear before you get busy. Because if you don't decide what's important, someone else will decide for you. If you don't clarify your priorities, everything will seem equally urgent, and you'll spend your day in reaction mode. If you don't set your intention, You'll drift through your day at the mercy of whatever comes your way. I counseled a woman who was constantly exhausted and overwhelmed. She worked long hours, was always busy, but felt like she wasn't accomplishing anything meaningful. When we examined her typical day, the pattern was clear. She would wake up, immediately check email, see various requests and problems, and spend her entire day responding to these things. She was busy all day but wasn't making progress on her actual goals. I suggested she implement this one change: spend 10 minutes every morning before checking email or engaging with any demands, clarifying her top 3 priorities for the day and blocking time for them. The transformation was remarkable. Within a month, she had made more progress on her important projects than she had in the previous 6 months. She still worked hard, but now her hard work was directed at what actually mattered. She went from busy to productive, from overwhelmed to purposeful, simply by clarifying her intention each morning before engaging in action. Don't underestimate the power of this habit. Those few minutes of clarifying your intention, of getting clear on what matters most, of planning your day rather than letting your day happen to you, these few minutes can save you hours of wasted effort and create exponentially better results. The 5th and final habit is this: practice gratitude before you pursue more. This might seem less obviously connected to success than the other habits, but stay with me because this is perhaps the most important habit of all. Most people wake up and immediately start thinking about everything they need to do, everything that's wrong, everything they don't have, all the problems they need to solve. They start their day from a mindset of lack, of stress, of scarcity. And this mindset colors everything that follows. Winners intentionally cultivate gratitude every morning. They take a few minutes to acknowledge what they're grateful for, what's good in their life, what's working, rather than only what's not working. This isn't about being naive or ignoring real challenges. This is about starting from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, from appreciation rather than desperation, from groundedness rather than anxiety. Why does this matter? Because your emotional state affects everything. When you start your day in a state of gratitude, you're calmer, more optimistic, more energized, more resilient. You approach challenges as opportunities rather than threats. You notice more good things throughout your day because you've primed your brain to look for them. You're more creative because anxiety constricts thinking while positive emotion expands it. You're more generous and collaborative with others because you're not operating from a place of fear and scarcity. The practice is simple. Every morning before you start your day, think of or write down 3 specific things you're grateful for. Not generic things like I'm grateful for my family, but specific concrete things. I'm grateful for the comfortable bed I slept in. I'm grateful that my body is healthy enough to exercise this morning. I'm grateful for the opportunity I have today to work on a project I care about. The more specific, the more powerful. This habit takes 2 minutes. 2 minutes that can shift your entire baseline emotional state from negative to positive, from stressed to peaceful, from focused on lack to aware of abundance. And this shift affects every decision you make, every interaction you have, every action you take throughout your day. I know someone who was deeply depressed, seeing everything through a lens of negativity, convinced his life was terrible. At my suggestion, he reluctantly started a gratitude practice, writing 3 things every morning. The first few days, he struggled to find anything. I'm grateful I woke up, I guess. I'm grateful my car started. Basic things. But he kept going. After 2 weeks, he noticed the practice was getting easier, that he was starting to notice more things to be grateful for. After a month, something shifted. He wasn't suddenly happy all the time, but the pervasive negativity had lifted. He could see both challenges and blessings rather than only problems. After 6 months, he told me, "This practice saved my life. It didn't change my circumstances, but it completely changed my experience of my circumstances." Gratitude is not about denying challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about balancing your perspective, about ensuring you're seeing the whole picture rather than only the negative part. And when you start every day from gratitude, you're starting from strength, from abundance, from a place that enables winning rather than a place that keeps you stuck in average. So these are the 5 habits. Wake up before your responsibilities wake you up. Move your body before you engage your day. Feed your mind before you feed your face. Clarify your intention before you engage in action. Practice gratitude before you pursue more. 5 habits. Probably 90 minutes total, maybe 2 hours if you are generous with each practice. But these 90 minutes to 2 hours in the morning create the foundation for winning the other 14 to 15 waking hours of your day. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great, but I don't have that kind of time in the morning. My life is too busy, too complicated, too demanding. And to that I say, you don't have time not to do these things. You're spending your life being busy and stressed and average because you think you don't have time for the very practices that would make you effective, energized, and successful. You're too busy bailing water to build the wall that would prevent the flood. These habits are not additions to an already full life that you somehow need to squeeze in. These habits create the capacity, the energy, the focus, and the mindset that make everything else in your life more effective and less exhausting. An hour and a half in the morning following these 5 habits will make you more productive, more focused, more energized, more effective in the other 14 hours than if you skip them and just jump into your day. The time investment returns exponentially. And here's the truth. Winners find time for these habits because they understand that habits create destiny. Average people make excuses for why they can't do these things. Winners make these things non-negotiable. It's not about having more time, it's about having different priorities. You have time for what you prioritize. If these habits aren't in your morning, it's not because you lack time, it's because you haven't made them a priority. And if you haven't made them a priority, you need to ask yourself honestly, am I committed to winning or am I content with staying average? I want to be clear about something. Implementing these 5 habits won't make you successful overnight. They won't solve all your problems immediately. They won't magically transform your life in a week. But they will do something far more powerful. They will create a foundation, a daily practice, a consistent way of operating that, compounded over weeks, months, and years, will absolutely transform your life. Small habits done consistently create extraordinary results over time. That's the power of compounding. Think about it this way. If you implement these 5 habits, you're starting every day energized, mentally nourished, clear on your priorities, and in a positive emotional state. You're doing this 365 days a year. Over the course of a year, you've had 365 mornings of intentional preparation. You've exercised over 180 hours. You've read or learned for over 90 hours. You've clarified your priorities 365 times. You've practiced gratitude 365 times. Do you think that person after a year of this practice will be the same as someone who spent that year hitting snooze, scrolling social media, skipping exercise, and starting every day reactive and stressed? Of course not. The compound difference will be staggering. So my invitation to you, my challenge to you is this. Decide today that your mornings matter. Decide that you're going to be intentional about how you start your day. Implement these 5 habits. Not all at once if that's overwhelming, but one at a time, building a foundation. Start with waking up earlier. Add movement. Add mental nourishment. Add intention setting. Add gratitude. Build these into a morning NG routine that becomes as automatic as brushing your teeth. Will it be easy? No. Will you resist, especially at first? Probably. Will there be mornings when you don't feel like doing these things? Absolutely. But winners don't wait until they feel like it. Winners do what needs to be done, regardless of how they feel. Winners understand that discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Winners create habits that make winning inevitable. You have a choice. You can continue starting your days the way you've been starting them, hitting snooze, rushing, reactive, stressed, and wonder why you keep getting average results. Or you can implement these 5 habits, wake up before your responsibilities wake you up, move your body, feed your mind, clarify your intention, practice gratitude, and watch how your days, your weeks, your months, your years, your entire life transforms. The choice is yours. But know this: how you spend your morning is how you spend your life. Your morning habits are deciding right now whether you win or stay average. Choose wisely, choose intentionally. Choose to win starting tomorrow morning. Starting with these 5 habits. Your future self is counting on the choice you make today.